Okay, good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sitting here in Mitchell's Plain in South Africa. We've got a lot of famous boxing families. We've got the Malingas, we've got the Tawiels, we've got the Steins. But here in Cape Town, we also have the Whiteboys. And I'm sitting here with trainer, manager, former boxer himself, Ashley Whiteboy. Welcome, Ashley.
Welcome, thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for having me.
Ashley, let's start with a beginning like I always like to do. How did boxing come to you? Where did the boxing bug bite?
Oh, the boxing bite many years ago, as you know, we're from Port Elizabeth. We were in Port Elizabeth, we stationed in Port Elizabeth, and my father had to move. We started as was boxing at an early age, basically. I played soccer at first, basically. So that's why sometimes you never get a lot of pictures of me in the beginning. But afterwards, when I came back, basically, then we started boxing in Port Elizabeth. We had a lot of amateur fights there. And then we came to Cape Town, where I really started seriously boxing, because soccer was my other passion. So then I started seriously boxing. Then we moved. My eldest brother, somebody saw him in Cape Town, and then we got sponsors from Pep Stores. Pep Stores approached us, and then after Pep Stores approached us, they said they'll sponsor my brother, and my daddy decided we need to move up here.
So your dad was also a boxer? That's
he was also a boxer, yeah. Leslie Whiteboy.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about his career.
Look, we can't actually say, because his boxing career was probably the Jake Tooley times.
Yes.
That time, basically, probably, we were young that time, so that means we had no idea. And as I said, some of us don't have pictures of stuff, but I think maybe if I find one, I'll probably show it one day. But we don't actually know much about his career in boxing, but he told us a lot of things. And stuff. So
did you ever see him box, or were you too small?
No, we never saw. But what we saw, how he trained us, we know he could fight.
Okay. Now you came here to Cape Town, and then the boxing started in earnest. And you five brothers.
Five brothers here.
Five brothers.
Yeah, Bramley, Chris, Trevor, me, and Derek. That's the five brothers.
Okay. Now Chris, your brother Chris, he was a South African champion, South African junior lightweight champion. I believe he won it over Evans Gwiji.
Evans Gwiji.
And in the end, he lost it to none other than Brian Mitchell. No shame in that.
No, I'm not saying that, but okay, as I said before, it's a long story. We're not going to go there. He lost the title, it's in the past, we're looking in the future now. But as I said before, the Whiteboy family has been getting a raw deal in a lot of ways, sometimes I felt. With our talent and the style of boxing we brought into the Western Cape. Because when we came into the Western Cape, basically, that we were the only so-called coloured, basically. I would say Khoisan, but I mean, obviously now the coloured is the word. We came here and we excited boxing. As coloured community, we excited boxing when we came here. I know how people were fascinated by us. Because before that there was I think maybe there was maybe one or two. I think from Bonteville, if I'm right. From Bonteville, some of the fighters there. But I mean, really to make a name, we were the only coloured Whiteboy family that made a name in the boxing. Where it's mostly controlled, obviously, by Africans and blacks. And but it was a proud journey. I would say it's a proud journey, because we made something of ourselves.
Later on, we had, of course, Aladdin Stevens, Jan Bergman.
Jan Bergman came on board, yes.
So you were kind of pioneers before.
They were all from Johannesburg.
Yes.
We talk about Cape Town, they were from Johannesburg, yes. And to that, Becky. So maybe my eldest brother was a pioneer of these things.
Okay, and then, of course, your own career. Yes. You had quite a career, because you travelled widely. Everywhere. You've fought quite extensively in Europe.
Yes.
In South Africa, you fought a couple of big names like Skippers, Gary Murray.
I lost against Skippers, I lost against Gary for the WBU title, and fought Peter Malinga also for the WBU title. But
and you also fought a guy who was the WBA world champion. He wasn't when you fought, but he became that later.
He came later.
You fought him in Helsinki.
Helsinki.
I fought him also. Tell us about that fight.
Look, that fight was, how can I say, was a very. He was a young boy. I was in my ages, you know. Look, I'll be honest and open that if I really put more effort into my boxing, because that time I was still a little bit I could still fight a little bit, but I used these opportunities to actually also secure my financial situation also better, because the fight was bigger, the money was good. It was one of the reasons I did it, but also. If I would have maybe put more effort into it, and because I could have beat these fighters, but they were younger, I was older, you know. you know what they do basically, they bring fighters to overseas and then okay, use them for winning purposes. At the end of the day, you find out that whatever you do, you're still gonna lose. You understand? So, but the thing is it was a fantastic experience for me to fight these fighters. Became world champions, and I fought some top fighters. So I would say that I wasn't actually disappointed in one. I lost against good fighters.
Yes.
I fought for the WBCU title in Russia. I fought for the WBCU title.
Yeah.
I was a boy who was a lot of knockouts. You know what I'm saying? I fought him basically, and but okay, there was issues there basically. And a lot of things was done wrong before the time, and I just say we had issues. But it's not the champion's problem. It's my problem because I just felt that's why I made decisions that I'm very sorry about.
Best guy you fought. Best guy you fought.
I fought a guy in the best guy I fought was probably, I would say, Zola Kotti.
Zola Kotti.
You're from South
But
Africa.
the white boys keep fighting Zola Kotti.
Yeah.
Brothers also fought him.
No, only me.
Only you.
Only I fought him 4
You
times.
fought him 4 times.
I think he was my best
Yeah.
opponent for me. Best opponent. Overseas, I fought a guy from Sweden in Dubai.
Okay.
We went 12 rounds also for the WBO. I think WBO. We went 12 rounds. It was fight of the night. Meaning I came back from Dubai with glasses because my eyes was open with all the fight because we were toe to toe from round 1 to round 12. And we got also fight of the night, and you know from these ideas basically. So I think that was actually one of my tough fights. All the other fights wasn't tough. That was one of my tough fights because the first time ever I said tonight I'm gonna fight. Tonight I'm gonna fight. Because everything was smooth. There was no problems, no issues. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Tonight I'm gonna fight. And when I actually started to fight, I actually did quite well. I lost on a split decision, you know, against him. But I think that was one of my best performances as far as I know, basically.
You say Zola Kotti here locally, not Gary Murray or Peter Malinga.
No, Gary Murray wasn't a tough fight. Gary Murray fought me, you know, and I was. You see, the thing is, the fight had to go on because the fight was promoted by Americans, but those guys from overseas. So the fight had to happen. So what I did was basically, and I had a problem with my hand, so my hand was basically, so I had to inject myself with these, Voltaren, just for the hand to fight tonight because the fight couldn't have, they offered us more. So a lot of things, you know, a lot of things basically, so, but it was
And Peter Malinga came a lot later.
Yeah, Peter Malinga came. Peter Malinga was also a fight that I never, Peter Malinga came suddenly, was also a replacement because I was supposed to fight somebody else on I think it was Golden Gloves tournament.
Yes.
And then I came there basically from a 6 round, it was brought to a 10 round and things like that. So, but I'm not, look, all I can say is basically, as a boxer myself, I don't think these guys really beat me. I think I beat myself.
When around your time, Nika Kumalo was also around.
Yeah.
But you guys never fought.
I used to train with him.
You used to train with him.
Yeah,
So
we
you were
trained
your
him in London.
teammates.
Yeah, we used to train in
Is that
London.
the reason you never fought?
No, it's not that. That's what we do. Like if I train by Bryce, like now I go to Bryce, I won't fight his fighters. Why? Because we train together. We work together. We try to uplift our fighters together. So I don't fight him. Whenever I train, I don't fight these guys. I decline even if they put the price. No, I will not fight. It doesn't work like that.
Back in the day, Nico, I know, was my favourite Cape Town fighter.
Yes, no, he was a top fighter.
I liked him a lot. I think he was a little bit unlucky never to get a world
That's
title.
it.
He had the wrong guy in front of him with Manning Galloway.
That is.
But Gary Murray was also around at the same time. I watched a lot of his fights too.
Yes.
Now we know Gary went and fought Peter Malinga. Peter won that fight. What do you think would have happened if Nika Kumalo and Gary Murray fought each other? That was a fight we always talked about in the bars in Cape Town.
Honestly speaking, I got a lot of respect for these fighters. I can't judge, but as a fighter itself, I think Nika would have knocked him out.
Okay, yeah. Gary was susceptible to right hands, right?
Yeah.
He was very fit and he had a lot of hard work.
Even in my condition I was, basically, he couldn't even knock me out. I went the whole distance with him. And I'm telling you, I took a beating from him that night. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But if I was in my right mind, if I could have fight freely, if I could have, I had no excuse. But I mean, on a better day, basically, I could have beat Gary Murray easily.
Let's talk about the white boy that I know the best as a fan and somebody who follows boxing is of course your brother Derek.
Yes.
He was more around also in that time. And is it fair to say that he was the best of the white boys?
I think so.
He achieved the
look,
most.
In aggression and skill, look, we all got different styles.
Yes.
You understand? We got different styles. We got, like Bremen was a more slick fighter. Sleek fighter, sleek, very sleek. You know,
Yes.
you could say run in front of him, you can't hit him, he's like that. And I've got this kind of stuff. So we all are blessed with certain styles and certain ways.
Yes.
You know, with me the same person, I'm very sleek and certain things. That's why if you look at my face, I've been in wars, but
Yes.
you don't see
Yeah,
because
you're
I was
still
very,
pretty. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. So you see, so you get it because our style is more, some of our styles was more me, and Derek's style was more me, and Bramley's style was more based on Sugar Ray Robertson. All these fighters, Sugar Ray Leonard, you see these fighters. That was our idols. That's the fighters we look up to.
Yeah.
And Chris and Derek was more like how can I say what's this one guy, the guy who fought, can't get the name now, basically who fought also Sugar Ray Leonard, who fought Sugar Ray Leonard,
Duran,
Hagler, that kind of stuff, basically, you know, that come forward kind of stuff,
Yes.
punch and so on, and use of power. So we were more like fighters, but they had a little bit of boxing skills in them also. So we were blessed really as brothers, as to fight that way basically. So if my father would have, I don't blame him still, I love him a lot. I mean, he was amazing, you know. He fought for us and he was very disciplined to us. He teach us the right way to live. But if he would have signed that contract, because Sidney Kuzner came to us many years ago when we started, he came to us, he wanted to sign all of us up. We would have been in America now.
Yes.
We would have been here.
And if you think back to Derek's career, last year and early in his career, and then he went on a very long undefeated streak.
That's it is, yeah.
And eventually he got a shot at the SA title. He beat Laiba and Koko for that.
That's it is, in Johannesburg.
Yes, and he defended the SA title 8 times.
9.
8? 9?
9 times.
9 times.
Nine.
Was it there? Okay, 8 or 9 tomato.
9 times, yes.
Okay, but that's a long title reign.
Long title
So that
reign.
means he won the old buck belt
Old
outright.
belt outright, yes.
Is that still around?
He's still around, he's got it in his house.
He's got it in his house. Pity we don't have that one here, but anyway, very nice trophy. If you fought Victor Sonava, I think 3 or 4 times.
4 times. Same thing, yeah, same thing.
Yes.
Boy knocked him down, he's still winning.
Twice.
He's still winning the split decision, but he knocked him down all around.
And then he went and he fought for a world title while he was SA champion. In between those defenses,
Yes.
he went to I think it was in Texas.
USA, Texas.
And he
yes.
fought Orlando Canizales, who's
Pound for pound the best
a
at that.
very great champion,
Texas,
long reigning bantamweight champion. The fight was a bit of a disappointment in the end.
Yes.
Were you at that fight?
Yes.
You were at the fight.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about that.
No, just that the fight was, I wouldn't say basically that the fight was, Gonzalo was a good fighter, Derek fought him, the plan was to fight him well, to fight basically outside and do his things basically. And look, the decision was right. When the cut came, they had to stop the fight because the cut was bad, they had a bad cut here because of was a headbutt, but it was, luckily for him, it was before the 4th round.
Yeah.
Luckily for him.
Yes.
You see?
So
but if that fight would have gone, that guy would have gone, I don't understand what would happen. We can't judge on that. Because we know that he's a very late starter also, Gonzalez.
Yes. Yes.
When he's warmed up, then he comes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we were prepared for that basically, but Derek was well conditioned for that fight.
I think Derek fought for, he lost his SA title, sort of a parallel to Chris. Chris lost his SA title to Brian Mitchell.
Yeah.
And then Derek lost on a split decision to Mbolela Botile. And Mitchell, of course, we all know what he did. Mbolela Botile was a 2-weight IBF world champion. So he turned also out to be a very good fighter. But he lost on a split decision.
Yes.
And how did you feel about that decision? Do you think it was a fair decision? Do you think the fight was close?
No, I think it was an unfair decision because he fought. You must remember he fought in Lente here in Lente Civic in front of his own fans. You must remember that. So he gave the best he can basically. So I think basically for me, never would you see a fight. And that time when he fought Botile, it was the same thing that happened in London. You can go to London, you must knock people out there. Very seldom. And people look at today, and I think myself, they're looking after their fighters, which is right. Because if you go to East London, you must be good. Look, you must remember, we also went to East London and won fights there. Bremley went to East London and won fights there. So you must be very convincing to win a champion there, which is a good thing. If you're not convincing enough, they won't give you that fight, which I feel is probably fair. And the way I see today, the things is more or less reversed basically by us again. But okay, that's another story. But he basically, that decision was wrong. That decision was basically wrong because if Derek would have kept him because that broke him completely. After that, basically, Derek was never like the same again.
He had another fight, I think it was after.
He fought a guy from Russia.
He fought Efraim Pintor in Thailand.
He fought a guy from Russia.
Russia, I think, was the last fight. But before that, he fought for a WBU title in Thailand.
Yes, I wasn't there.
He was ahead on points and then he got stopped. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was that.
And,
But
and here in Russia also he fought here, in Russia also here, and I think here he fought a guy from Russia here.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the fighting white boys. Now you then transitioned from being a fighter to trainer and manager. But
Yes.
how did that happen?
Look, when we stopped, when all of them stopped, basically I still kept going on. Then I went to go train with Kalakoda. I went to train with him. I helped his son Virgil, sparring, they did all the stuff and so on. And I felt that I didn't get the attention, I didn't get the support I have because he sent me to Joburg and he told me somebody's gonna be there. And when I went to Joburg to fight Peter Malinga, that's the fight I'm talking about. He said he's gonna be, but that time he was busy with his heavyweight. What's his name? Mike Bernardo. And he didn't tell me somebody's gonna be there. And when I came there, nobody was there. Nobody was there to pick me up at the airport, to pick me. My daddy had some friends, what's his name? Putalal. That was guys who was in boxing in Johannesburg. Everybody knows about them, Putalal. And this other friend of my daddy. I phoned them because I had their number. Because when I go to Joburg, my daddy always says keep their numbers because you never know. And that number came nog al in handy. And I heard I was there and they came to the hotel. Right. And then nobody was there to meet me. I had to go to the win. I found out there's a 10 round instead of a 6 round, 8 round. I said, hey, what's happening now? So there was issues before the fight that maybe made me feel disappointed a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And then I had an issue there basically, but nobody there with me. He wasn't there, nobody was there. So I went to, and I had to head to I had to somebody else in my corner. And he was supposed to, because he said he'll be back in time, and he didn't. So these are the issues that I went through. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. I said, okay, right, fine. Then I said, okay. Then after when I came back, basically I left him. I said, I'm not going to train there. Then we got was a gym. We had a gym in what's in Southriver.
Yes.
The Penny Pinchers
gym. Yes.
Yeah. Then my father was like, he said, then I said, no, I'm not going to come back. It's fine. Daddy must, because Daddy's in another space. You know, after Daddy grows, after all these things, he also felt, he felt like I felt now, and I feel his pain now, how he felt, how his boys was robbed and what to happen, stuff, why people are against him. He's trying to do his best for boxing, and he was a comrade, he fought to fight, he could have signed contract with Big, but he didn't because he wanted to be loyal to South African boxing. So all these things worked with him basically, and then, long story short, then he got sick, basically, went to the hospital, one day went to the tote, went to go play cards, play horses, and then he forgot the card, the daughter came up, stuff and so on, and she said, then he left the car and he went in, and then she said she must take him for a test to the hospital. But then on the day of his, before he passed away, the Saturday he went to go see him, then he told me, he said to me, he said, I'll give you the reins to take it further, because for me, you're more wiser. You're more into boxing than anyone else. All the others is business minded. Derek, like his business stuff and so on. I think you're going to be the one to take this what's name further, he said. He said, please. And he said to my son also, he spoke to my son, he said, my son, we've never had a chance to, I've won SA titles, I've won provincial titles. I would really love to win a world title. Please go win a world title for Papa. Okay, that kind of things he talked, stuff, and then the next day Tuesday we found out he's gone. So that's where it all started.
Alright.
So when I came back, and with George, before that, George also took us all over the show, then I came back and so on. But I just feel basically I was probably just a career builder for most of these fighters overseas, that's what I think. But whatever people do sometimes, our decisions are very important also. And I realized that, and through that, my mistakes, I'm trying to rectify my boxers. But sometimes there's certain things you can't ignore, or certain things you can't stop, because it happens. You see.
Now before we started this interview, we walked around your place. There's bags lying around, there's equipment lying around. You're gonna make the gym here at your house now. Tell us a bit about that, and what is the club going to be called?
No, look, the thing is I'm busy now trying to get a venue here. I'm busy trying to get a venue here. I can't, because I don't know if it's politics, whatever. I got no idea. I can't make accusations. I don't know. I'm just saying things, but I mean, I've gotten proof of anything. I don't know if it's that. But the reason why I'd rather open up my gym here is because I felt it's more easier to open my place here and build my own gym here and train my fighters here, because I think there's a lot of talent in Mitchell's Plain. There is. There's a lot of gang fights happening, things happening, and some of these boys can be good fighters because they got the aggression to fight. And my duty is also as a community person to do that. You know, if I got my gym here, hopefully some, one of more people, these counselors or stuff will say, okay, look at me. Because remember, if you unemployed or if you don't work, if you do voluntary work, you do community work, it's effort and time you put in. So if you give me all, you can't say I must pay for all so much a month, because I'm not running a business. My club is not a business. I run boxing as business. I'm amazed sometimes when I go to clubs and I hear people are just paying to train their boxers, paying to train them. It was never like that in the past. Because you used to use civics for training purposes for free. Those days, in the apartheid days, we used to train for free. We used to get sponsors. We used to get fights happen. We used to fly. We used to do all these things. I can't understand what has changed now. Now suddenly things have changed. Now suddenly things is different, and it's supposed to be better. No, it's not.
Yeah. Okay, there's a lot of things about, we're going to cover this and we'll come back to some of the fighters you're training. There's a lot of things that bothering you about boxing.
Yes.
And you say specifically in the Cape Town area or nationwide. Tell us about what is eating you.
Look, the thing is that what eating is basically is that promoters register to be promoters, but fights don't happen. They register, but fights don't happen.
So there's a lot of promoters that are registered, but they don't actually promote. Okay.
The first thing, they don't promote it. Then you got a certain promoter that always promotes. Jackie Price, Alan, Barron, Kings,
Alan Chizumu.
Alan, he's the one to promote, and then you get who's the other one? I sold it all them.
Yeah.
For so far.
We had Steve Kalakoda for a
while. Steve Kalakoda for a while, but the only time because he got that contract for Africa.
Yes,
he got that tender, he got that contract for the SA. That's the reason why he could have this top tournament, because he got sponsored.
Yes.
So a lot of people don't understand is when you to run a boxing tournament, you need sponsors to come on board. But in the past there were sponsors. I can't understand. Fighters nowadays you have tournaments where fighters even have to pay for their purses to fight in the tournament to get a fight. How's that possible?
Yeah. That is also a funny thing, in England they have fighters selling tickets. I don't understand that system. They have it now here as well, I believe.
Yeah.
The guys have to sell tickets.
You have to sell tickets to make some money, or if you sell tickets, why I can understand, because when I was fighting, you get a contract from the promoter.
That's what you get paid, and
you sign,
with sponsors.
Yeah. You fly, you stay in a hotel, the promoter pays for all that, and you get your purse also. That time you used to get you get your checks over there. After the fight, you sign the paper and you get your check.
Why do you think sponsors are staying away? Is it a question of the economy? There's just not money. Is it the sport itself?
Look, I don't really look. I can't say basically because I don't know how they run their business. But I think the economy is supposed to be better because in apartheid we were isolated because there were a lot of sanctions against us.
We had sports sanctions. Yes.
We had sports sanctions. We couldn't cheat. Now it's open.
Yes.
Now it's open. So that means now because it's open, basically every victim and area comes in just want to make money. You see, that's the thing. That's what I think. Just want to make money, but they don't think about the prosperity of boxing. Now that is my problem. And sometimes this is when you have a fighter here, you will fight like Jamie. Let's talk about Jamie Webb.
Yes.
Jamie Webb was my fighter.
Yes.
Right? He lost against Koopman for the IBF title.
Yes.
Which is fine. It was a good loss because obviously on the night he was beaten. On the night he was beaten. Yeah.
Yes.
There is things that happened that happened that I felt maybe if that was maybe stopped a little bit, maybe things would have been better. He was bulldozed, he was roughly handled by his boxing.
Yeah, you've got to learn to handle.
You got to learn to handle all these things. You got to adjust to everything, right? Okay, and I feel.
But Shabbat Koopman is no disgrace in that.
No, he's not a disgrace. No,
he was my pick for prospect of the year.
Yeah, no, he's a good fighter. One thing I must say, I realize the same thing. I had a lot of disrespect for Knapp.
Rock
Knapp. I said, but what I saw against, I went to him. I said to him, you know what? I told him. I told him. I said, look, I've always never had a lot of respect for you, but today I'll give you my respect. The way you fought today, that's boxing.
Which day was that?
The day when you fought Tyson.
The rematch, yes.
That was, I think that's fight of the year.
That was a fight of the year.
That's fight of the year, no doubt about it. That was one of the best fights I've ever seen.
Yes.
That's one of the best fights I've ever seen, that I've seen, that I know. That's the reason I went to him and said, now I got respect for you. You've shown a lot of character, you show guts, you show glory. You were on the back foot, but you keep on going. But listen carefully, it was a very close fight.
Was a close fight.
Quite a close fight. And Knap was on the back foot all the time and Tyson came forward. But Knap still won the fight. I'm going to come to certain things now.
Yeah.
Now you have Jamie lost the fight, that's fine. But now you have Jamie fought Umbasi. Yeah.
Earlier, yes.
Before that, he fought Umbasi for the WBF title. Right?
Yes, that was here in Cape Town.
They made issues with the provincial manager. Certain things that we not satisfied with, certain things we need.
What kind of issues?
The issue was basically is we were in isolation, like
we still had to be in that bubble.
We were in a bubble.
Yes.
Bubble 8 was in
Air Force Base.
Yeah, there in Sipo and Summer Simon stuff.
Yeah.
We were there for 4 days with the
nice.
provincial manager, new provincial manager, right? So now the thing is, this is basically what happens. This is that for 4 days he was there, and I had my conditioning training crew with me, and I had my son with me who was registered till that time. You see, listen carefully now. Now he was 4 days there with us. He said nothing. On the day of the fight, he had a meeting. The second day, the way when he said, that this is gonna happen. He didn't have a meeting before. It was 4 days there with him in a bubble. He said nothing the day of the fight. He says, I can't have my 2 people in the corner because they're not registered. But I said, they are registered on there, they registered there. The fighters on there, they registered here, their register expired. He said, I said, how's it possible? I said, but we've been doing this all the time. There was no problem. Why is the problem now? Then you had the issue with other guy, okay, fine. Then I went and go register them.
These are now cornermen.
Cornermen.
Okay.
I went to go register them. You see? But I was okay. I went to go register them. So can let me register them because they need to be moved now. Just to re-register them with them now. So I went and registered them on Hudson, and then he came back and I said, here's the receipt, we registered them. Then he said no, but their registration only qualifies for the new. Maybe he was right. Maybe he was right, that's fine. But the problem I have is for you to come on that day and tell us that day, this kind of things is unfair.
Okay,
Then made a fight basically where we get in the dressing room, he wanted to throw us out and stuff and so on. He said, they must get out, everyone. I said, no, but you can't do that. We were disturbing the boxes and James was always hiding us. Second is basically, we had a occasion there with him basically, and then Jamie said, coach, just please relax and so on. But then he fought. Then he get the judges he chose there basically. A lot of things happen also around that. I'm not going to talk about it. It's fine. I don't wanna because I don't wanna just discredit all the time. I just want also. But Jamie beat Mbasi convincingly. That was, I think, one of Jamie's claims.
He lost a split decision. I think Freddie van der Ross had him a wide winner. And I can't remember who the other two.
The other two, yes. Yeah, the other two was Clifford, whatever his name is, Clifford, yeah. Same referee that was also in the Koopman fight.
Was he a referee or a judge?
He was a referee.
Was he a ref?
Koopman fight.
But he was a judge there.
He was a judge there.
Okay.
Then he was a judge in another loss against Jamie now. He was again a judge, which I asked, I don't want him there. I went to the provincial manager before the fight. I said, look, I can issue with certain judges, I don't want them, please. If you can, because I want the fair, because as you know, this is a very important fight for Jamie. But second is, the manager of the fighter that Jamie was supposed to fight, Umyoyo, is friends with the provincial manager. On the day, just the day before the fight, he says he's not going to fight, he can't make the weight.
It was just that last fight of Jamie where he was still there in box like he was supposed to fight up here with Umyoyo.
Yes.
So Umyoyo didn't make weight, and then he fought a substitute.
He didn't even come to the weigh-in. So he didn't come to the weigh-in. He was notified the day before that, as far as I know, that is and then they notified us they're going to find a replacement, and they find this boy was supposed to be a replacement.
And Gorjo something.
So but now you remember this. Jamie is a rated fighter. Jamie had 2 losses, had top losses, not like easy losses.
Yes.
Jamie is highly rated. Listen carefully now. This boy not from he's not from South Africa.
Yes, I can see in the surname. Yeah.
No, from South Africa. Secondly, this boy has got 3 losses and 2 wins. Listen carefully now. 3 losses, 2 wins. Now I say to myself, if he was convincingly beating Jamie, although the two knockdowns, but Jamie made it
The
up.
only thing I could see I have of a fight is a newspaper report, and Jamie went down twice in the 10 round.
Twice in the first and the fourth round. But
Okay.
remember, he stood up and still fought and still. So that means instead of a 10-8 round, it could be a 10-9 round, because after knockdown, Jamie came and Jamie started banging him. You understand? Jamie from the corner, well done. You know, things like that and so. It could be, as I said, somebody was a knockdown was 10-8 round,
Yeah.
at least. It could be a 10-9 round because Jamie going back and stuff, and so, which all know what happened. But all the other rounds, you can ask anyone, all the other rounds, Jamie won. Jamie beat him hands down. Jamie was outboxing him because he was a strong boy. But for me, basically, he went the whole 10, he won the whole 10 round, which was surprising because he was supposed to be substitute. But okay, as I said before, so I don't know what transparent before that.
Okay.
And secondly, we had to pay his purse. I don't know what the tournament going on.
How does that work?
I don't know.
You take from Jamie's purse and you pay the opponent.
No, the
So
thing,
you
no,
take
the,
this. How does that work?
no, the thing is, this is basically what happened. Basically, is because we found a place when there was a whole thing happening.
Yeah.
Price offered to help, basically, and saying, and the promoter, I don't know what the story is. Look, I don't want my fighter to fight. There's whole politics. That's what I'm saying when it comes to that, basically. So I don't want to mention kind of thing because, as I said before, I don't want to embarrass South African boxing too much. But there's things happening in the Western Cape that are very strange. And at the end of the day, boxing suffered because how many tournaments did we have this year already? There's tournaments in Joburg almost every second. I mean, there's tournaments besides Golden Gloves, big ones. But there's tournaments happening every time. There's tournaments happening in East London also.
Yes.
But here, there's nothing. This was like the second tournament for the year. We're going to have a third one now when Jackie Price having one in Grandness.
Yes.
Which I know is going to happen, I hope so.
Yes.
Because a lot of money invested in that tournament. You see, that's the thing. So that's the kind of things that happened in that. And for the fight to go on, my manager, Leroy had to pay for me from his money and pay the opponents with the fighting that can go on.
Now,
That's how we must say boxing.
Yes.
Now, how's that possible?
yeah. So we have a lot of Cape Town fighters basically leaving for Joburg. You know, Abdulaziz Kunert.
Thank you.
One.
Thank you.
There's others too.
Thank you.
Yeah, not only him. Let's go with your fighters. We're going to finish with your fighters now. Jamie Webb. The way I see it, right? He's a junior middleweight.
Junior middleweight, yes.
He's a very tall junior middleweight.
Yes,
And
yes, yes,
if I interviewed him,
No,
he's a tall
he's
guy.
a tall
I've
junior
seen him in
middleweight,
physique.
yes.
What do you do? His mind is now at the moment is a bit disenchanted with boxing. You say,
Yeah.
assuming he gets his head back into the game, what changes are you going to make?
Look, he's taking a break off, which I feel is good for him, because a lot of things happened. After the fight, he lost basically, and then a lot of things happened after that. But I just felt basically after this fight, because this fight was supposed to be a winning fight for him, that he's supposed to win the fight because they need winning, which he did. But unfortunately, and secondly is, in a lot of things, when you see provincial managers or managers go around to the referees before the end of the fight, you know something is happening. These things we saw, everybody saw it. That's not just me talking out of my mouth because I'm trying to make something to people. That's what's happening, and why I don't know. The reason why I would love to know am I the problem with the problem because I'm straightforward, I can't be bought? Is that the reason why I'm straightforward and I say the disease and do things like that? Because that's what my father teach me always. Be honest and open. That's why everybody hates Floyd Mayweather, but he keeps beating them all the time. But I hate him for his honesty and opinion. That's what I want to be. You understand? I feel, and my father always tell me, and my father was the same. But the only difference of my father and my fighters now basically is now the change is gotta be, I gotta teach him rather basically to always even be convincing, even with their robbery be convincing.
Style-wise, do you think Jamie fights too much when he should be boxing? Because he's got that height, he's got that reach.
You see,
sort of like the Klitschko word heavyweight.
Yes.
Do you think he gets in a brawl a bit too much when he should be fighting at the distance more?
Look, bro is coming boxing. You know, you
Yeah.
gotta prepare for that. I mean, obviously, you get fighters who come forward all the time. You gotta be prepared for that. You gotta have these movements, but it's difficult for him to move because of his long legs. Like giraffe legs. It's
Yes.
difficult for him to move as any other smaller fighter move. So it's difficult for him basically. But the thing is, he does have. I try to invent that movements in him basically and try to outbox more basically. But he has developed a lot basically to when I met him when he came to me. He developed a lot. I try to put the best in him basically. But now with the changes basically, if he comes back basically, I gotta teach him how to knock out people, because always gonna be end of the stick at the end of the BYC. Because as long as the provincial manager is still here, I don't know if there's something against me or what's the problem. Because for me, basically, honestly, he's the problem. Everybody knows that the provincial manager is the problem. Boxing will never prosper, never boxing will help if we have somebody. Mickey Klaas for me was much better. Mickey Klaas for me was a guy that I would say basically that always boxing comes first. He knows, because Mickey Klaas was a boxer himself. He also fought Bramley. Mickey Klaas, the provincial manager.
Yes.
The former
Yes, I know
provincial
Mickey
manager.
Klaas.
Yeah, it was. Maybe
I
I don't know how he got. I just found out he was out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But one thing I can say about him, basically, what I like about him, basically, he always make a way for the boxers to get their fights. Always like tournaments to go on. It was difficult for him sometimes, but he always tried his best for the tournament to happen. You know, and these kind of things didn't happen when he's done. Now it's different now. What I understand, why is provincial government not getting on board? Why is net support for boxing when in other provinces, provincial government support boxing, do it, even support, look at Azila Fuzela.
Zinga Fuzile, yeah.
Look at him how he gets supported by the local government, by East London. He gets supported as a boxing himself, he gets supported. If they look after their fighters, that's what I'm saying. Now, in my opinion, why don't you also look after our fighters in many ways? If a guy comes from Joburg, a guy comes from here, wherever he comes from, and he's not convincing, don't let him win. Because why would your fighter lose? Why do you see a fighter that can be a future SA champion? Because we haven't got champions at the moment. We just lost our heavyweight title.
Jean Roux, yes.
Well, I was there when Jamie fought. He just lost his heavyweight title for the good fight, but he lost. You know what I'm saying? That boy was just better. Now, what I'm trying to say basically...
What do you think is it of Cape Town fighters? Sorry to interrupt. I was doing the ringside commentary when John won the title against Tian Fuk here in Cape Town.
Yes.
And that very, very good fight that
Yes.
evening. Very exciting fight. And then he went and he lost to Josh Pretorius there in Empress Palace.
Yeah.
Now, Josh fought a very good fight.
Very good fight.
Josh, I can't say
No,
that.
no. He was a champion on that.
But compared to how Jean fought at Tian Fuk with quite late notice,
Yes.
and then he fought Josh, it's a much different style because
Yes.
Josh is down here and Tian's up
Yes.
there. But he was very flat to me.
Yes.
And it's a thing of it with many Cape Town fighters, you see them going up, and once they're there,
I think as the altitude more, because they make the air more thinner there basically, so it's difficult without inbreeding, because here we have sea, they don't have the sea there, so the force is thick, so it could be that basically. But because I had the same thing when Yolande fought this girl, same thing. They turned around, she was openly could on the TV said that sometimes say, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. How can you be tired when you fought? It's now the third round, and you fought as an amateur. You fought 3 rounds. Come on. So I think that is maybe could be a lot of things that happen that I see. But I mean, we went to Joburg. We didn't do too bad there. I mean,
there is such a thing as a good loss. I think today people in boxing are obsessed about undefeated records.
Yes.
I think it started with Floyd Mayweather, and some people are obsessed with it.
Yes.
You can have a good loss and you can learn from it. What Yolande had there is a good loss.
Baby J
had more than double-digit losses and became a world champion.
He fought 5 times for the
There are
SA
handfuls
title.
of people like that that had a lot of losses and became world champions. All over
Manny Pacquiao, the same thing.
Manny Pacquiao had a lot of losses.
Came back and he stole 1 titles.
Jeff Lamkin, who fought Cesar Magazzini, he had a lot of losses and became world champion. So there's lots of people like that. You just don't want the guy to get beaten up beyond recognition or get damaged. So I would still like to see Yolande again next year. I'd like to see Jean Roux. Rhino, if you're listening, we want to see you back in the ring again. I think those were good losses that Jean Roux took against Josh. He can learn from it. Remember, a guy only had about 6 fights, 7
6
fights.
It's
little. In the old days, you had 15 fights.
15 fights, before and you must be highly rated.
World title, you're somewhere in the 20 fights, maybe even 50.
You must be highly rated also.
So I think it's also the lack of tournaments forces these guys to be moved very, very fast. They do it in East London as well, you know.
Yes.
Guy with 4 fights like Pumelele, Kafu fights Jackson Jones.
Azino Fuzela was 4 fights when he fought for the SA title.
Yeah, but they move him faster and faster now.
Because that is the way it is, because things have changed.
So, Yolande Geldenblom, tell us a bit about her. Did you ever think you'd be training female fighters back in the day?
I never know how I thought about that, but as I go to the gyms, basically, it's not just her, it's a lot of female fighters. I got another female fighters training with me, Alonso Pascual.
Yes.
She lost in the semi-finals in the SA Championships now. She got a bronze medal in SA Championships now in Port Elizabeth.
Yes.
So I got some fights. I got my daughter also coming to hopefully next year.
Mm.
The young daughter.
Okay, she's also.
She's a white boy, yes.
Yes.
I'm training her now.
And your
getting
son
prepared.
Ashton as well.
Ashton's also coming back next year. God willing, is he'll be back after he done his studies. You know, had a baby and a grandchild and stuff. So after he sorted himself out, but he's training now. He's getting busy trying to get himself ready for next year. He's coming back, and I'm quite sure we'll have next year. I promise you, next year.
Yes.
I'm gonna have champions.
Great to hear that. The females do throw down sometimes. The talent pool is nowhere near as deep.
Yes.
But if we look at the ESPN Africa shows, we had Yolandi on Golden Gloves, and ESPN Africa we had the Hida Volmanans against Ruth Chizale, and the girl from Cape Town, Shanadine Fortuin against Ellen Simwaka. And those were two of the best fights on that tournament.
But Yolanda for me, Yolanda is a very good fighter. She can be a world champion, Yolanda. She's got the aggression, she's got everything. She's got everything to be up there. Because the thing is, she's been with me since she came to me. Basically, I've worked hard with her with a lot of things, and there's still room for improvement. You understand, basically. So she's on the break now. Basically, hopefully, God willing, if she sort of, because she's in matric, she's the last year, so the mother and the parents are right. And I hope basically that
still very young.
She was also, she's also thinking about, I'm rather going to stop boxing and do something else because of the, she felt basically that maybe that she won the fight. She felt that girl just caught her on the arms and stuff. And that's the kind of things I'm talking about with Jamie also. You see, that's what I'm saying. I've had a very raw deal. I can go back. I took. A lot of people don't even know this. I took Desmond Samuel to SA title. I took Sali to SA title.
Yes. Sali.
I took him to SA title. I took Wasim to SA title.
The first time I did ringside commentary on Kwese TV, the main event was your guy Johannes Sali in the rematch against Cristiano and Dombassi.
That's it, but I took Sali also to SA title. Yeah, I took my son to it. So I took him to titles. I always. That's what I told Yolanda the same thing. Don't worry, loss is actually a win for you because I've lost my first professional fight. Yes. In the drill here in town, but after that I went straight up, Yeah. So I said you mustn't, I said to Jamie the same thing. Look, it's one of those things. Take a break, go relax, and so on.
Yeah, you must remember they get moved fast. Jamie, for example, he fought Dombassi. In which fight? How many fights did he have? I think
he had about five.
So that's a very big step for five fights. To fight a guy like, we know how dangerous Cristiano is. And to fight a guy like that, and so, with so few fights now on your belt is a huge step up. Yes. And to go and fight a guy like Koopman straight up, it's also a big step
you
up.
See, I took the fight. The reason why I took the Mombasa fight is because to prove to the people that Jamie can fight with these guys.
Yes.
That fight opened up the IBF title fight.
Okay.
But it will be for all titles. But that's to be okay. We didn't have a good night. You know what I'm saying? But Jamie still got a lot of women in him, I think. He's still got a lot of women in him. He's still my boy. I love him a lot. He's been loyal, dedicated all these years. I'm very proud of him. That's what I feel it's right that he talked out. He needs a break, and I give him that break.
Let's talk about some of the other fighters here from Cape Town. We've mentioned John Roux. What do you think of him? I think he had a meteoric rise to the top.
Look, the thing is,
I think he can still be a comer.
Yes, I watch. I train by Matthew sometimes. I can take my fighter for sparring, basically, and I'm telling you, he's a fantastic man. He's a great personality.
Mike Munimani.
I'm talking about the Rian that now. He's also now
Matt Leeson.
That he was supposed to. Matt Leeson, yes, in town. He was supposed to fight Sunny Bull.
Tian Fuck now.
Tian Fuck, to fight Sunny Bull.
I've heard about that.
And that fight was but I mean, what I'm saying to all these guys that I train with sometimes, they're fantastic. I mean, Tian is also a fantastic guy. He also complained about fights get cancelled, fight get this here in Cape Town.
Abdulaziz Koenert.
Abdul, he's also talented. Abdul, talented fighter. They also got a bright future in boxing, basically, but also say there's certain things that need to be figured out, need work out.
And then Barney Mbangata went overseas. He fought for the Commonwealth title, got his first loss. You still think he can come again?
All of them, basically. Even to go over to fight for a Commonwealth title is not a problem because I feel that these are talented fighters. Lunga
Sitamela, he's SA champion now, so we do have a South African champion.
Yeah, we do have a South African champion basically, but what I'm saying, he's also very talented, gifted basically. I think that is one of the fighters. Bryce is doing a good job. He's doing a good job with these fighters. There is a lot of other fighters that are coming through the field basically that can do it. Even I watched this. I was training with the SA with the Western Province team. Now with the SA, I tell you there's some brilliant fighters coming through in the Western Cape. But the thing is, the problem is that the reason why these guys don't want to come to professionals, they stay amateur. That's because of these things.
Tournaments not happening.
Tournaments happening, cancellation, fight one fight a year. When you're amateur, they fight every second week. They fight every month. They fight, they go to championships, they go to Western Pro and SA championships. So these people think, I was actually surprised to see Blom turn pro. Because, as I said before, but look at that, he turned pro, but he went straight to ESPN.
Yes.
You see, because that's the way you gotta go now. Now I feel, why is it like that now? You understand? Because you must blame somebody that's into doing things right. Because why is everybody, even me myself, I was thinking, listen here, I'm not gonna fight in Cape Town anymore. I'm gonna work with these people. I'm rather gonna go, if I get opportunity, even if I have to fly down, get a sponsor to fly me down and sit with Rodney Berman or sit with Evan to sit down and get my, rather there.
You know, Rodney Berman, for instance, Golden Gloves, they tied up with Emperor's Palace. They've got a deal there, so they're not going to move geographically from
where so they stay there.
That's their thing. The
Which
Eastern
is
Cape, guys like Ayanda Matiti, Rumble Africa, Terrorism Tutu, those guys have got a fan base there, so you can't think that they're going to move, but perhaps, I've always thought ESPN Africa, perhaps they can do a tournament here in Cape Town.
Yes,
yeah, no,
but
that might be something.
But they must have fighters here.
Yeah.
They must have fighters from here that they know they can draw crowds. You know, they can maybe, because I would love Golden Gloves should have done that. You know, I mean, if you look at it, I don't know. Look, what I say is I can't understand even BSA's. I mean, I've got BSA members them close to basically because you know maybe they got their work cut out. Some certain things they try maybe their best to do things. But at the end of the day, basically, you gotta know is we gotta try to expand. Like for instance, this is my opinion, okay? This is, if Supersport has never had a tournament in Cape Town. Why? I don't know, because there's Supersport.
They had in East London.
Thank you. It's London. There's only two people left tournament with Supersport. It's Golden Gloves, Rodney Berman, which is fine because I think it's a good thing. I've got nothing against it. And it's what's the name? This promoter from what belongs to the
NC. I think Rap had one show on Supersport.
No, but
Zinga fought Rakimov.
Yeah, but there's one promoter that also in Cape Town now. What's his name? The latest one. After Mguni died, what's his name? This young boy. He's now a big man now. He was a youth leader for the ANC.
I don't follow the politics.
But he's also top promoter. Yes. I mean, one thing I say, he told him what's happened.
You're talking about Terrorism Tutu, Rumble Africa Promotions.
I don't know the name of the African. Yeah. I know only the people that runs it. Basically, what's his name? Ayana or something.
Ayanda Matiti.
Something. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. He's a good promoter. I mean, obviously, he runs his tournaments well. His fighters fight well. I mean, I know.
He's got a younger guy taking over now. The name's just dropped out of my head. I know he's talking about.
So these guys can excite boxing as in the past because their fighters also came to Cape Town, go Joburg, and so. And if the same can happen, like the fighters travel a little bit. Then obviously. But they base there because they know basically, okay, this one, if you're not fighting, you gotta go there, which I understand. But the thing is, I always say, is that Supersport, BSA must give out the meeting to Supersport. Listen here, this is the story. You want to promote boxing, because remember, Supersport need to sign the lease. That's just my opinion.
Yes.
I feel they have to sign the lease, whatever agreement with BSA or with whatever before they can. Tell them they won't get approved for them because if Supersport can bring fighters here. You see a lot of these guys that are fighting in amateurs that are brilliant fighters. You must go watch some amateur tournaments here. You'll be amazed at the brilliant fighters that are sitting there waiting for that opportunity. And they're watching professional boxing. And when you talk to them, they say, because I got amateur fighters, I got an amateur club and I got a professional club. But it's one club. But I separate them because amateurs train in the morning or so during the day, and in the evenings, some amateurs train with the
amateurs and professionals still not allowed to train together?
No, we train together.
Has it changed?
That's no, I mean, we train in Ranga with Nika Kumaro, Beshu Sibaka, Sydney Ho, you know, all these guys, you know, we used to train with them, and they were amateurs.
Okay.
So we all train together all the time. So Bryce got amateurs, but some of them take him to these white collar boxing, which is maybe better for them. But you never see them at these. Only time you see them is at the provincial championships.
Okay. We're gonna wrap this up now because we've been talking quite a while. If we talk about, we've talked about the things here in the Western Cape. We talk about boxing globally. there's always three things that people say in terms of what needs to change in boxing. One thing that people will say is the best don't fight the best often enough. Eventually they do. We're not talking about Terence Crawford and Errol Spence.
Yes.
Maybe they're going to fight at the end of this year. That's one
But
bugbear
10
that
guys.
people have. The best don't often fight the best. Whereas
Yes.
in MMA, they don't
Yes.
care if they take a loss. Everybody fights everybody
That is it.
in the cage. And the other thing that people will say, too many titles, too many organizations, too many so-called world titles. And then the third thing that people will say, controversial decisions,
Yes.
which we touched on.
Yeah.
Now, in my opinion, all these titles is not ideal with. I can kind of live with it. You know which
Yes.
at best are anyway, if you're hardcore enough, and
Yes.
as much into the sport. The best not fighting the best. It does eventually happen. It takes too slow, I think.
Pretty slow,
It
yeah.
takes too slow to fight
Yes,
each
yes.
other. But I do think that the major problem is controversial decisions in boxing.
Yes.
Would you agree with me there?
Yes.
That is a major thing. that
It's
is
a
in
major
the
thing
sport.
that's happened, a major
And
thing.
it lends itself to it, the sport, because the judging system is there's a degree of subjectivity to it. Right?
Yes, that's it. Yes.
It's not like a tennis match where the
Yes.
ball is either in
Yes,
or
yes,
out.
yes,
There's
yes, yes.
interpretation in it.
Yes, yes, yes.
They've tried to work with a system over the years. We've had an amateur scoring system where they click a button, where
Yes.
two or three judges
That,
have to click
that
at
is,
once.
yeah.
That also didn't work. That had to be abandoned.
That is very,
They have made a 10-point must system, a 20-point must system years back with the
Yes,
WBU.
yes.
They
Yes,
tried
yes, yes.
something. My personal opinion is, whatever system you work, is not the system as such. There's going to be close fights.
Close
where
fights,
guys
yes.
are, some
Yes, yes,
guys
yes,
are going to
yeah.
be unhappy, some is not going to be
Yes, yes,
unhappy.
yeah, yeah.
Rocknap and Brandon Tyser,
Yes.
myself and Andre the Vries,
Yes.
old boxing man,
Yeah.
we were ringside, we both had to fight 2 points for Rock.
Yes.
But it was a close fight.
It was a close fight,
It could have
yes.
gone this way, it could
Yes,
have
yes.
gone that way. So,
There had to be a winner,
someone
and
is going to be unhappy, but
unhappy,
that
but
to me
yes.
is not controversial.
That is, yes.
But you get fights like, going back in the past, Pernell Whitaker against William Cesar Chavez.
Yes.
The as Robert,
Yeah, yeah,
Lennox Lewis and Van Holy for the first fight.
Yeah, that's it.
That sort of thing.
That's it.
And then the first Canelo Triple G fight was a close fight, but that Adelaide Bird had him
No,
7-point winner and she's still judging
another
fights.
robbery.
To me, that I think is the biggest problem
the
in
biggest
boxing.
problem in
There's
boxing.
there's no accountability on the part of the judges. Would you agree?
That's my point. There's no accountability for the decisions they make on that, because what happens is because of decisions, boxers quit, boxers leave the sport, but they might have had a bright future. Boxers don't want to come into the sport. Professional boxing will die in the Western Cape eventually if we have decisions like that all the time. Our fighters don't even look after in the Western Cape. Really, it's not. In London, you go to Joburg is London, you must be convincing to win any fight.
Should there not be, because now we're sort of saying, if a guy is fighting in his hometown, he must already get the benefit of it back because he's a home fighter, or if he's the A-side fighter, or if he's the promoter's contracted fighter, he must get the benefit of a doubt. But shouldn't the right guy just win? Plain
No, plain and simple.
In an ideal world.
Plain, but
Because
in-
we've now almost come like this, like, I'm in
In a-
my hometown now, so I want the benefit of doubt.
No.
And when you shouldn't it just be
No, understand.
score the thing on the level?
If it
Yeah.
is, if it is like that all over the show, like in Joburg or
Yes.
in London,
But
then
you
I would
expect
then I would
the town
agree
to go
fully,
like that,
which is
yeah.
right. I agree fully with you there.
Yeah.
That is true what you say, because I'm into fairness. That's why I can't get bored. You can't come to me and tell me. That's why I don't have these fancy gyms, because people came to me and tell me a lot of things. I said no. I'm in the sport here for boxing. I'm doing the sport for boxing and for nobody else, and for my father and for his legacy. I'm trying to promote and start doing good work in the community, trying to uplift boxers in the sport God has blessed me with. I'm trying to give that wisdom to them. I'm not being selfish or anything.
Would it not be a good idea? I remember, for instance, way back in the day, there was something called a punishment index to see that boxers don't take too much punishment, and at a certain point they would be saying,
Tested.
"You can't fight anymore." Wouldn't
They'd
it
be
be
tested.
yeah, they'd be tested. Wouldn't it be a good idea if we have a panel of judges for the judges? For instance, if a guy is habitually
Fantastic.
in
No. I'll get where you're going.
controversial
That's
part,
fantastic.
that person would go in front of a panel.
That's
They
fantastic.
have to explain the scoring to the panel, and then there must be some sort of
But
a remedial
Mickey
sanction.
Klaas has done it. Mickey Klaas has done it. Mickey Klaas was the provincial manager. He's
So-
done it.
what-
If he sees the results, he gets the results. If he sees the results, he says, no, man, that's not fair. He can change it. Although, but that are supposed to be.
For instance, you know,
Yeah, there's a
Adelaide-
supervisor.
an Adelaide Bird type
Yeah,
card like
they-
Often. That why?
That's it.
I'm
There's
not
a
talking about
supervisor.
the guy who disagrees by 1 point, but a completely out card. and that judge has handed in cars like that again, shouldn't that judge be in front of a panel explain when they get demoted? You're not going to be in the main event, you're going to be in the middle of a car or the bottom of a car, and when you evaluate you, then you can work up again.
Yeah, but you see the thing is what happened now is with this, you know what happened now with this is basically that these referees get away with so many things now.
Are we talking referees or judges or both? Both.
They both.
Okay.
They're judges and referees because sometimes they referee a fight, sometimes they judge the fight.
Yes.
Okay. Because
we did have a controversy about the free knockdown rule there.
So they sit down there basically. I'm saying what happened is because all they do is basically they sign up with the IBF, sign up with the WBO, sign up with the WBA, sign up with the WBC, get your license there. That's all they do. So now that means if you get signed up with these guys, so that means IBF recommend that guy. Listen carefully now. IBF recommend that guy, right? From there, so the provincial manager will say,
it's sort of bypassed.
Yeah, he's not involved with that. It is selected. So you get my point. That's what it is. So that means it never. But I'm quite sure there's a clause that says that you can ask before, as up to season what they make before the time. Listen, I'm not satisfied with so and so a ref because I think the square is here. Now in overseas world title fights, you always see referees just come into the dressing room, referee discussing, right? And all this kind of stuff. Here by us, that's a problem. My son fought for the WBA title against Peter Melinga. In the dressing room, nobody came to take our bandages. Nobody came second way to walk. You know, there's a lot of things. I don't go back there, but I'm just saying. There's a lot of wrong things happening in boxing people don't see. They only see the fighters fight, the fighter lose and wonder why. Because of the talent, the gift of fight they had, they wonder why. Most of these fighters, these African fighters here are fighting against the back of their walls because they trying to survive in the sport, which is tough because at the end of the day, 3 months people train, but one man with one pen on a day can change his whole career. That's the problem I have. That's why we must have fair and honest judges. If the winner wins, that is fine. If he wins, that's fine. If a fighter is convincing, then I understand. Then I have no problem. You understand? But I had so many issues. You can ask anyone. I used to fight with coaches. I used to fight with judges. I used to fight with referees. I used to fight even with Mzoli also. Everybody knows what I made a big scene there when he lost against Mbasi. Was the whole team basically. And I said, but that is wrong. This boy was convincing. Why you do? And I asked him, why are you doing that? The same now with the fight. No, you know what I'm saying? So I told him. But you see, that's the thing. I don't want to, why do I have to act like they want to know that my fighter was better on the night? Why do these things happen? And as true what you're saying, definitely have a panel that judges the referees. A panel sit there and judge them, and then they get demoted because they didn't do right. That is and that is a good thing you're saying what they must do. Because at the end of the day, as I said, nowadays it's basically that if I know people, nowadays is who you know and what you know, who you know. Things will get right for you. If you don't know people, if you can't be bored, if you can't get, things like that. That's what it is. That's the truth. That's what it is. Because look at me, for instance, I'm in Mitchell Spring, right? I'm the only boxer people know in Mitchell Spring, right? I'm a name fighter. I'm a name coach. The family's got a big name. But I didn't even have a gym. But I got counselors here who's talking about community work. Counselors who's entertaining old people. You give them breakfast and stuff and so on to get votes. But look at me. Can't somebody come here basically? But if you go around, go to Weinberg, you see all these foreigners having gyms. I applaud them. I've got nothing against them. But my point is why then I don't have a gym here? Why can't somebody come on board and say, listen, so I go here. Let's open up a gym for you because it's development. It's uplifting the kids. But they want me to come to schools. They want me to come to school, which is fine. And expose boxing. Some people say, come as to what we're going to get you. But you must understand. For me to travel every day, I travel to Kelsey every day. It's a strain on my finances also because I have to travel petrol every day, up and down. But I don't mind because I did it for my fighters. And I didn't even charge my fighters 1 cent. I just said something to cost to petrol. That's what I do. I'm in a sport not to make business. I'm in a sport to develop fighters and bring world champions to South Africa.
Okay. Ashley, let's end it off. Let's turn it end it on a positive. What is the best thing about boxing?
The discipline, the best thing about the guts and glory, the fighting, the dedication, the discipline of fighters and the skill it brought and the person that you change after you become a fighter. That's what I love about boxing. The sport is amazing. Boxing is better than kickboxing, MMA, all other sports. Boxing is the best. Even they come to us, even they get our coaches to train their fighters to have the girl. You look at Conor McGregor. He had to train boxing, but he was knocked out. He was one of the best fighters that time. Look at this Chinese guy, Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather made me proud. As a boxer.
You're a money man.
He's a money man. He knocked out the karate guy. He knocked out the MMA guy. You know what I'm saying? This shows you how good boxing is. It just shows you the caliber of boxing, the power boxing can create, the opportunity boxing can create for you if we develop in that kind of way. That's the thing. And I will never leave boxing.
Yeah.
Boxing is the way of life for me, and I think it's a good sport for anyone to take part in. A good sport for anybody to take part in. I won't change boxing for everything.
Well, that's it, people. Ashley
But
Whiteboy,
I just wanna
thank you very much for your time.
Before we go, I just wanna also say thank you for those support. Thank you for my boxers, the respect for me, and thank you for those officials also that always supported me and always know that I'm right and stuff and so on. They know their names. You know what I'm saying? And for those that go against me, I just want to say I don't hate you. You know what I'm saying? Just do the right thing. Come, let's open up and do the right. I also thank you for my wife. You know, I want to thank her also for all the efforts she put in. Been humble, never complain, support me all the ways, all these years and so on. Basically, thank you for her and thank you for everyone. Thank you for you for coming out and you hear my story and stuff and so on. I thank you for my dad and my brothers also, you know, for their contribution towards boxing in the Western Cape. And I'm quite sure basically that in the future, I promise I will have champions.
Well, there you go, guys. Straight out of the mouth of Ashley Whiteboy. Please like, please subscribe, and keep those gloves up.